Thanks, Janine. Yes, I prepared some slides, and the title for these I gave Sustainable Success, a Biological Perspective. Because I'm a molecular and cell biologist with translational cancer research with a focus in my group. And I'd like to suggest that for sustainable success, we need to have a biological perspective that focuses on all aspects of the individual. I think the need for this was already indicated in the morning session, where, for example, Mr. Wilfried Lenke and Professor McLaren noted that we train athletes to win at all costs, but we do not educate them. And Mr. Bernhard Hausler of FC Basel has presented some strategic measures that they've taken towards achieving this goal. I think there are many wonderful points that have been raised referring to the basis for ethical behavior and systems as well as success. But how to attain them, I think this is the question we are grappling with today. And again, I believe we need to go to the individual level and have a biological, physiological, scientific approach for that. So if you do a Google search with the keys to success, you find all of these things. Wit and grit, which is you need to have the abilities, special talents, but also you have to put the effort into it. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to welcome constructive criticism, the overload principle, etc. Some of these have been noted. There's also been a number of studies, for example, this from Harvard Business School, looking at very successful people, such as what they found is that the key characteristics of successful people are that they look for achievement in a context, there is happiness principle, they're content with what they do, they feel the significance of what they do, and there's a legacy to what they do. Another similar study by Professor Peffer from Stanford Business School identified all these keys: energy and physical stamina, focus, sensitivity to others, flexibility, ability to tolerate conflict, and to be able to let go. Here's another one, the 4 C's of success. You need to have clarity of purpose and direction, confidence, essential, competence, of course, but not only in what we do, for example, in sports on a physical level, but also personally, in communicating with others, in relationships, and commitment, of course. So I think these are all very, very important, and some of them have been described in this session and in previous sessions. But how do we internalize these and make them part of our lives? And to be able to do that fully, we need to have them fit into our sense of wellness. Is this possible? So to be able to answer this question, I think we need to look at and remind ourselves what wellness is. And we need to keep in mind that wellness is not a perception and expectation of good physical health, which is, of course, overemphasized in sports, but also being intellectually stimulated optimally, to have a positive sense of self-regard, and to be able to deal with unpleasant mood states, which invariably arise, to have a perception of being connected well with the people around us, our families and our co-workers, our colleagues, and have a perception that the environment we work in is good, as well as a positive perception of meaning and purpose in life. Of course, these are interdependent, and one factor that can break each part, or the communication between different parts, is chronic unresolved stress, which all too often creeps up on us while we are in pursuit of success. very nicely discussed in the deep dive session this morning. We actually know a lot about stress, but we do not do enough about it. So not too far from here at the World Health Organization, if you look at the website, there are all kinds of different health issues that are listed and discussed, and stress is not one of them, even though we know that approximately 80% of all diseases are somehow stress-related. We actually know a lot about how stress affects our mind-body system. It's studied by the field of psychoneuroimmunology, which posits that stress, emotions, individual characteristics, they have direct inputs to our nervous system, endocrine system, and the immune system, which are in a perfect balance normally, which gives rise to health and wellness. However, we have chronic stress, negative emotions, negative individual characteristics, they feed into the same system, and then they break down, and then disease arises. We see it in sports, we see it in business, we see it in all professions and areas of life. As such, I would like to suggest that stress is the #1 enemy of success. And it's #1 cause of ethical issues that we face today. Studies have shown that the annual cost of employee stress in terms of productivity loss in the US alone is more than $300 billion annually. So we have to do something about stress. If I can have this next slide. So this is the situation. According to the latest research, the average human body is 20% water, 80% stress. So we need to do something about it. Luckily, research shows that there are measures which can effectively counter stress. In my reading and evaluation of the scientific literature, practices that stem from yoga and meditative techniques achieve this to the greatest extent. And I'd like to expand on this in our discussion later, if time allows.
Yeah, you allow, because then you have to tell us. So you think against 80% of stress, is yoga the right solution? Is that what you want to recommend us now?
Yes, I think that on a regular basis, if one practices gentle stretches, especially these breathing exercises and meditative techniques, these are most effective to keep those six-fold wellness aspect for each of us. And I can go into some details later if we have time.